Hello and welcome back to the show, Financial Confidence God's Way. I am your host, Lynn Dimmons, and today's topic is life after debt. Yes, you know I'm on assignment to break the spirit of the debt, and we're going to get to that today.
Finances in a rut? Need a way out? Lynn Dimmons is here to help. She's your personal financial rebound coach. Being a wife, mother, and educator, she understands the importance of controlling your finances and building generational wealth. She is here to help you find money you didn't know you had and live life on your terms. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it is true, and it's definitely a good thing. Lynn Dimmons of Dimmons Enterprise offers one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and radio podcast entitled Financial Confidence God's Way on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network. Lynn Dimmons of Dimmons Enterprise, your number one financial rebound coach.
Thank you for joining the show today. Our guiding principle, of course, is Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So today we're going to be talking about life after debt. When we talk about this, we just want to, first of all, begin by understanding why you fell into this deep chasm of debt in the first place. That's the first step in resolving your issues with debt and building wealth for the future. And now that getting out from under the stigma, knowing that getting out from under the stigma is overwhelming and it can take years. But we should also always start by praying over our finances. So if you will take a moment with me before we get into this and just think about your money for a moment, focus on it and pray over it every day. Lord, help us value the things in this world that are really valuable. That's our relationships with you, our lives, and our families. Help make us responsible steward of your financial resources, and let us trust your holy word for the eternal glory of your Son, Jesus. Amen. If you'll commit that prayer to memory and say that over your finances, I guarantee that things will change for you. But when we talk about life after death, what does that look like? During those years where you're actually clawing and scraping and scrimping your way out of this debt, if you will, it can be tempting to get back into debt with those offers from the credit card companies and just mismanaging your money in general once again. So getting in debt again too soon can spiral you back into another path of stress and debt that you were struggling to pay from the beginning. So one of the first things that I would recommend to you is to examine your relationship with debt and begin to analyze why you got into that predicament in the first place, right? Was it just things that you're purchasing on a whim because you're stressed, or something else was happening in your life? Maybe it was medical situations, whatever the case may be. You take a hard look at that, and you can begin to manage your debt effectively as you create a budget and follow it to the penny. I know I said the B word, and we don't like the B word, but ultimately that's what we need to do. We're going to call it a plan. So diagnose your spending habits along the way. And if we'll just be frank, credit cards are the main culprit of getting into more debt than you can handle. You can purchase more with credit cards. You don't even have to have the money to spend right now. You can just simply have that plastic and you'll say, okay, I can pay this off monthly. And it feels like you have free money, right? So during your life after debt, you should only spend with money you have on hand if you feel that you'll be enticed, if you will, to go back to those old spending habits. So purchasing all goods, those good deals you're finding on a credit card means you're actually paying more money than the items originally cost, if we're frank, right? If we're just being frank about it, being real about it, because the interest rates, they tack on that to the cost of the purchases for the privilege of giving you their money to use in the first place. So if you do use credit cards after you're free, right, and you know that you'll be able to pay monthly the entire balance, make sure you pay it off in full each month to avoid any of those excessive interest charges. For me personally, that is a pet peeve. I make sure I can pay everything off monthly because I'm not giving away any additional monies anymore. In the beginning, this was very tough for me. But once I developed the habit and I got that practice in place, it helped me to even build a good credit history as well. One of the other things I would suggest is in regard to prepaid credit cards. Those are good alternatives, right, to other credit cards. You get a certain amount of credit according to the amount you put on it, and you can make purchases that are deducted from that balance, from the monies that you place. And you have the option of adding more money to the card as you pay it down. So you make it work much like a phone card or your own debit card, right? Debit cards can also be used in this way, and they're popular for those, if you want to document your purchases and have those available to keep you from spending excessively. So most banks will offer you debit cards that have that MasterCard or Visa logo, and they've been doing this for years, and that's a great way to make sure that you stay on top of your finances. But you'll need to do the work. You need to religiously track your spending. So if you hope to avoid getting back into debt and keep to a budget or a plan that is carefully thought out. After you track the spending for a month, you'll have a pretty good idea because research tells us that 21 days develops a habit. So if you can do this for a month, you'll have a very good idea about your expenses and where you can cut back. So try to create a mindset for building wealth, right? Essentially, that's the end game. That's the ultimate goal. We want to be able to build wealth. We want to have a financial legacy that we can leave behind. We want to be good stewards of our finances. So in order to be those good stewards, and besides saving money, research how you can invest your hard-earned dollars to make more money for you. Keep more money in your pocket. Keep more money to support those things that are important to you. What are those things that are happening in society that are important to you? Perhaps homelessness is an issue that is important to you. Well, how can you help out the homeless if you're strapped in debt, right? How do you help that domestic violence survivor if that's someone that you're interested in helping? Women who have been abused, or men for that fact, who have been abused, and they need someone to go to, and you want to be able to support that person. But how can you do that if you yourself are strapped in debt? You don't have the financial resources, right? You don't have a location to put them. You don't have a location to put the supplies or whatever you want to provide to that particular person or that situation, right? Whatever is important to you. So make sure that you are able to invest your hard-earned dollars so that you can use them in the ways that are most important to you. I want to thank you so much for joining in for Financial Confidence God's Way, and we look forward to seeing you on our Facebook fan page, Financial Confidence God's Way.
Finances in a rut? Need a way out? Lynn Dimmons is here to help. She's your personal financial rebound coach. Being a wife, mother, and educator, she understands the importance of controlling your finances and building generational wealth. She is here to help you find money you didn't know you had and live life on your terms. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it is true, and it's definitely a good thing. Lynn Dimmons of Dimmons Enterprise offers one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and radio podcasts entitled Financial Confidence God's Way on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network. Lynn Dimmons of Dimmons Enterprise, your number one financial rebound coach.
We also received a question over our Facebook page that I wanted to share with you. And the question was, how do you build a financial confidence strategy? This is one of the topics that I talk about often in development of a financial confidence strategy. And essentially, there are three key parts to that. The first important thing that I want to say first and foremost is that you have to understand what it takes to achieve your goals. First of all, you have to have a goal. Then understand what it takes to achieve those goals. And in order to achieve your goals, you need clarity. You need to know why you're doing it. You need commitment. You need to be able to do it, stick to it, and you need to be able to close. You need to be able to follow through is what I mean there in order to achieve success. So in looking at a financial confidence strategies, 3 key things that I suggest that you would be able to do. One is maximizing your take-home pay. The second thing I would say is generating more income. And then the third thing is accumulating assets. So what do I mean by each of those key components? In maximizing your take-home pay, there are several things that you can do. Adjusting your W-4 so that you can determine whether or not you're paying too much or too little as far as taxes are concerned. Looking at the health insurance that's available to you. What are the costs you're spending there in health insurance? If you're younger, can those costs be reduced because you're not going to the doctor? You're not utilizing those that insurance in that way? Or is there a more affordable option? Simply looking at it from that perspective. Is there something else that's more affordable, that's comparable to what you're currently getting? And another way is to simply educate yourself, right? Go to seminars, Google, research, right? Maximizing your take-home pay is a very simple step that you can do first and foremost to help build your financial confidence strategy. Of course, another thing that you can do is simply generating more income. And by generating more income, there are different things you can do. Yes, the basic things that are obvious. You can go out and get another part-time job, but who really wants to do that? Especially if you're working in a job where you do not like the first job and then you're taking on this second job because the first job is not allowing you to meet the ends, right? Not allowing you to help make ends meet. Then you're taking on this other job, and that can cause more stress. But there are different options. There are apps out there with different things that you can do that will pay you to do those things. That are apps that allow you to go shopping, and you simply receive funds from scanning items in that particular store. Or you can start a home-based business. There's so many different options for people for generating more income, or even not even starting a business, just selling some things in your home. And I hear it immediately. Okay, I'm not doing that. But there are some things you can do. You don't have to do all of these things, right? You pick the one that works best for you in your situation. I'm simply giving you options. The other thing that I would say is ultimately accumulating more assets. You think, Lynn, but I would have to go into debt in order to accumulate more assets. These are your investment opportunities. And I've often talked about good debt versus bad debt. The debt that will allow you to have a return on your investment, that's the ROI, will be considered a good debt. So debt that you are leveraging for purchasing of properties or leveraging to invest in other opportunities, those are very good components of developing your financial confidence strategy. So I hope that information has been invaluable for you and that you will continue to join us here on Financial Confidence God's Way as we continue to help build the kingdom, and you help me to deliver on my purpose to break the spirit of debt. Thank you so much for joining the show, and we'll see you next week on Thursday at 6 p.m.